Hi friends, I hope your cozy season is off to the best start. I've been baking plenty of sweet treats and fresh bread and putting a little extra love into my dinners lately. Today I'm sharing a few of my favorite things I've made so far this fall. In an unexpected twist, after a lifetime of being an extreme night owl, I have become a morning person. I really can't take credit for it though. It's actually because our puppy wakes me up at about 7:36 every single morning. And it was brutal at first, but now that I've been getting used to it, I love spending time outside with my puppy in the mornings. The air is so crisp and fresh, and the world is still kind of quiet. The traffic noise hasn't ramped up yet, and the nights have been cooler, so the leaves on our tree have been changing colors and falling. I wanted to make myself a sweet autumnal treat to enjoy with a cup of hot coffee after we come back inside, and a loaf of pumpkin bread is just the perfect way to make your entire home smell like fall. This is a recipe I'm really proud of. I tested it so many times last year. The batter comes together in just a few minutes with really simple ingredients, and it makes a loaf that is perfectly moist, not dense or gummy at all, which can sometimes be an issue with egg-free baking. I am partial to an iced pumpkin loaf, but Eric requested chocolate chips this time around, so I decided to make 2 loaves so we could both enjoy the variety and also have some extra to share with our neighbors. Nordic Ware released these really beautiful loaf tins. This one has like pumpkins and acorns, very fall inspired, so I'm really excited. This is my first time I'm using this one, but I have one of the spring ones with flowers. I just love them so much. Shake well. I tried this baking spray that has flour already mixed in to hopefully get the cleanest release possible from the loaf tin, and it worked really well. For the pumpkin chocolate chip bread, I'd recommend letting it cool for about 20 minutes and then dig in when the chocolate's still melty.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Aww.
For an iced pumpkin bread, you'll want to cool it entirely before adding the icing or it'll all melt off. I want to give a big thank you to Blueland for sponsoring today's video. So you guys know that I always try to do the best for my health and the environment. I try to support the right brands and make sustainable choices. And something that a lot of people don't know is that most of us are cleaning our homes with microplastics every single day. Apparently 90% of parents say that they worry about microplastics, but most don't even realize that they're in their cleaning products. And that's why I love Blueland. Blueland was co-founded by a mother who wanted safer options for her family, and they are completely reimagining everyday cleaning essentials with clean ingredients and no single-use plastics. Their products meet the highest standard of clean. They actually work, but they're still gentle on your family and the planet. I'm cooking all the time, so of course, my favorite product from Blueland are their dishwasher detergent tablets. They're incredible. They come in concentrated pre-dosed tablets, in compostable packaging, no plastic anywhere, and they are sourced from ingredients that are free of parabens, phosphates, and all those other shady things. They really work. These tablets power through baked on, burnt on stains, even after 48 hours, no pre-soak or rinse aid needed. We also love their foaming hand soap. I just refilled this with a new tablet. This is a super easy switch to make. It's refillable, it's made with clean ingredients, and the packaging for the tablets has no single-use plastic. Plus it comes in a lot of really nice fragrances. So if you have been thinking about cleaning up your cleaning routine, Blueland is now offering 15% off your first kit. Just scan the QR code on the screen or visit the link below. Thank you to Blueland, and now let's get back to our cozy autumn recipes. We have some extra pumpkin puree left over from our baking this morning, so I'm gonna use this to make a pumpkin Alfredo. Okay, actually I lied, because if you ask a real chef what goes in an authentic Alfredo sauce, they're probably gonna tell you it's just butter, grated cheese, plus enough of the starchy pasta cooking water to emulsify them together. And they would be right. Technically speaking, what I made was more of a brown butter pumpkin cream sauce. I started by blending up some cashew cream, and then I minced up a few shallots and lots of garlic. I am actually guilty of adding shallots and garlic when I do make Alfredo, so sue me, I love my aromatics. I also love crispy sage to top savory pumpkin dishes. They fry up super quickly in a little bit of oil. I'm talking like 30-45 seconds, and then I remove them to a paper towel and hit them with a little bit of salt. Now, you're not going to be able to make brown butter with all brands of vegan butter. With dairy, it's the milk solids that are browning. So you need something like this Miyoko's butter because it has cashew milk in it, and those little particles of cashews are going to toast and develop that color and flavor. Be patient with this step. Don't crank the heat too much because it will go from browned to burnt pretty quickly. This recipe was an experiment, and all in all I was pretty happy with how it turned out, but I do think it needs a little more refinement before it goes up on the blog. The flavor was really good, but I think I maybe added too much cashew cream, which caused the sauce to thicken a lot more than I'd prefer. I had to add a lot of pasta water to get it to a good consistency, but it could definitely be more silky. Then at the last minute, I pan-fried some Beyond Italian sausages for protein, and I also steamed up some broccoli.
All right, I'm so excited.
Oh, it's a good girl.
Some puppy Alfredo.
You want some too?
It actually has like this really nice sweetness that I'm enjoying. I'm obsessed with crispy sage. I wish I had made twice as much. It's really good. I'm not the biggest fan of pumpkin, but I think this is like the perfect amount. Just to make it festive, autumnal, but not go overboard.
I've noticed that the older I get, the more time I spend thinking about things like culture and tradition, and about how we have to actively work to preserve these things. It's not something that happens on its own. I think a lot of us remember our childhoods with this like warm, nostalgic filter over it, and sometimes it kind of borders on melancholy for me because it feels like you'll never be able to capture even a fraction of that magic again as an adult. But every time I dig into that belief, I have to remind myself that all of that magic stemmed from decisions that my parents and my teachers made to help me create those memories. And when you become an adult, whether or not you have kids, if you want your life to feel like that, it has to be a conscious effort that you make. I think food is the perfect place to start. And lately, I've been really inspired to study the culinary traditions of my ancestors and Eric's ancestors. A little bit about my background: I'm half Filipino on my mom's side. The other half is like a mix of Irish and German and French Canadian. Meanwhile, Eric's background is mostly Eastern European. It's a blend of Ukrainian and Polish, plus there's some German in there, and he grew up in a Jewish home. So lately I've been learning to make a lot more Jewish recipes, and I have even been trying to make homemade challah every Friday for Shabbat. Now I'm just gonna say neither of us is particularly religious, so we're not doing this by the book, but when I learned about Shabbat, I just really love the idea of carving out intentional time in the week to spend together, no distractions. And we'll always make a fancy meal on Friday night. We will pour a glass of wine. We'll talk about some of our highlights from the past week. And then we try to make a small donation to a cause that matters to us. So this week we donated some supplies to the pet rescue that we got our puppy from. And in addition to the challah, I made one of my favorite Friday night dinners so far. I made this Hungarian paprikash. It's like this very cozy, rich, creamy stew with lots of red peppers and paprika. It's traditionally made with chicken, but in my case, I usually make it with either tofu or plant-based chicken pieces. And it actually has surprisingly few ingredients for the amount of flavor that it has. And the peppers and onions simmer for long enough that they become kind of jammy and they almost start to melt into the sauce. And then you add some cream, or in my case, some coconut milk to make it super creamy and decadent. And I use these little plant-based chicken pieces I got from Sprouts from the brand Abbott's. They are pea protein based, and they're basically like a gluten-free alternative to seitan. Super high in protein, and they taste really nice as long as you serve them in a good flavorful sauce. I wouldn't eat them like alone. But you know, if you're not into the mock meats, you can also make it with pan-fried tofu, like I said, and I also think it would be really good with some beans, like white beans or chickpeas. Paprikash is often served with these little dumplings, like egg dumplings. They're called nokedli. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that, but it's kind of similar to German spätzle. I took the easy route this time, and instead of making the dumplings from scratch, I just boiled up some pasta. And this paprikash is so cozy, so delicious, so flavorful. I love serving it with the homemade challah, and we also whipped up a little salad on the side, just because it is quite decadent, so we wanted to balance out the meal with some freshness. I treated myself to a couple of new cookbooks, so I just wanted to show you. First off, I got Big Vegan Flavor by Nisha from Rainbow Plant Life. I love her YouTube channel and her blog. I feel like this is something that would be great for
any level of cook. Whether you're just starting out making plant-based meals or you've been doing it for a while, there's just so much information in this. I also picked up Justine Cooks. This is from Justine Snacks on social media. I also just really love her cooking style. It's very different from mine. She does like a lot of layers. I really wanted to expand my palette, expand my repertoire of techniques, and I feel like this is gonna give me a lot of inspiration. I think that Justine is pescatarian, so this is not a vegan cookbook, but it is very plant forward, and I think it shouldn't be too hard to veganize most of the recipes. And the last one, probably most excited about this one. I have been making my own bread for quite some time, but I really felt like I just needed to revisit my fundamentals. This book has tons of diagrams, photos. So if you've been wanting to kind of get into bread baking, but the idea of maintaining a sourdough starter is intimidating to you, you can learn like all of the techniques you need using this. I actually prepared the dough for one of these recipes yesterday. Overnight, 40% whole wheat bread. I feel like whole grain bread is really good in the autumn. So I prepared the dough yesterday, shaped it into a loaf, and it has been cold fermenting in the fridge overnight and preheating my oven right now with my Dutch oven in it, and we're gonna bake it. Now, it wouldn't be an autumn cooking video from me without some kind of a harvest salad or a grain bowl. I am obsessed with these types of salads that have tons of different flavors and textures and a combination of fresh and cooked ingredients. I'd probably eat them every day if it weren't so time-consuming to prep all the components. And honestly, I understand the draw of places like Sweetgreen and Kava that really let you load up on options. We don't have Sweetgreen anywhere near us, but their autumn harvest bowl came across one of my social media feeds, and I've been thinking about it for days. I finally picked up the ingredients to make my own version. If you want to make a harvest salad like this, I highly recommend turning it into a meal prep opportunity so you can at least get a couple meals out of your effort. That's what I did here. I started by prepping sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts for roasting, and I kept the seasoning very simple with just olive oil, salt, and pepper since I knew I was going to make a super flavorful dressing. The Sweetgreen bowl comes with blackened chicken, and my idea was to sub some roasted chickpeas in for some protein. I used kale as the base of my salad. I love kale, and I always like to massage it with some olive oil, lemon juice, and salt when I'm eating it raw. It just cuts through some of that bitterness and softens it up a little bit. I wanted to balance out the heartiness of the grains and the roasted veggies with a nice zingy dressing, so I made an apple cider vinaigrette with lemon, shallot, Dijon, and a little maple syrup for sweetness, and I added less olive oil than usual since I had already used olive oil for the roasted veg and the kale. And then roasted nuts or seeds are an absolute must for me. In every single salad, I just love the crunch. And for this one, I crushed up some roasted almonds, but pecans are another favorite of mine for harvest salads. Some fresh apple also adds a really lovely crisp texture and sweetness into the mix, but you could also use pears, pomegranate, or dried cranberries. This prep honestly wasn't too bad. I highly recommend just plugging in a good podcast or playlist and you can just lock in and knock it all out. The last thing I did was just to cube up some of the Violife vegan feta. My love of this cheese honestly borders on obsession. I want to put it on every salad for the rest of my life. Another thing I did differently from the Sweetgreen harvest bowl was to use farro instead of wild rice, just because it's what I had in my pantry. Farro has a really nice chewy texture and a nutty flavor that I love. Yay, so here I am assembling a big harvest salad for dinner for Eric and myself, with plenty of leftovers for lunch the next day or two. Mixing everything together is very satisfying, and of course I had to serve this with our homemade whole wheat bread. And that wraps up today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out today. Make sure to subscribe for more plant-based videos, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.